I ordered came today. So what I'm going to do is do that and then do the plate carrier like I was on about, and then see how good that sort of comes out. Because like I said, I'm going to have to adjust some of the straps and that, but I thought I'll wait till the body armor comes so I know how bulky it is with the body armor. Because like I said, with the plate carrier, I don't see any way I'm going to probably use that over something like the ECBA without soft armor, if that makes sense. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So 1 second, let's get that right. Let's get the pop-out chat on, and I'll do it on a white screen as usual, so I can illuminate myself better without having to buy an O-light, or whatever you call them, the O-ring lights. So yeah, there we go. Right, so as soon as anybody joins now, I should see them on the chat. Don't forget to like the stream, because it might help YouTube share them a bit. Now, probably have to put the camera here a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So this was the police vest I got that came. It's in quite good nick. Like I said, I've already got some vests like this. I'll take the little thing off of it now. It's got a cable tie with it says arm out black, or arm out BLK, which is black. So I don't know what that actually is on there. All right, Nick, but let's get that off. Hopefully the M7 is sharp enough to it's not M7, M4 bayonet. No, because that's actually a genuine bayonet with barely a sharp edge on it. That's not going to do that. Do I have... Oh, I've got my little British Army knife here. That will do. So, yeah, let me get this off. It's actually quite a good quality cable tie, but there we go. Don't need that now. Bin that. Right, okay. So, the interesting thing with this armour is it's actually got... That is just the front bit. So, this is kind of like an armour which... Again, it's a bit weird. I like it, but it's a bit of a weird design. So the actual panel is there, and the zip-up bit's in a different place. And that zip there is so you can put another extra armor panel in there. I don't think it would really fit, you know, like a ceramic or steel plate. I think that bit for the add-on armor is designed more for the like extra stab layer some of these vests can have, where you have like another stab panel put in them. So anyway, let's undo that thing there, and then get the armor itself on. So yeah, this armor basically you put on like that, and then you obviously latch the jacket across like that using the buckle, and then you can close that up. So yeah, then that's that on there. So that's, like I said, a standard police one. That's been somewhere that's quite damp there. I don't know where I've put that down, where it's got damp. I'll have to look into that, because yeah, that's weird. That's got a bit damp. Let me just go check, because I'm hoping my aircon isn't leaking or whatever. Ah, that would be why. Right, I'll turn the aircon on. Right, after the stream I'll empty that, but yeah, that explains it. Right, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, the problem there was the that's it. This is a UK one. I'll have to take it off to look at the brand thing again. But like I said, the UK police have a few different issue ones that they often import. So yeah, that's like I said, the reason I wanted one of these is because you get at least soft Kevlar all around. I wanted some, yeah, Nick. I want not necessarily for World War III, but I did want some more like modern vest type stuff, because that's where I've got the ECBA and a couple of really bulky, heavy old ones, and that's it. So this, if I remember, you have to pull round that bit, which I'm totally screwing up on that. Because, yeah, I need to get the back panel in, don't I? Is it easier to do the bottom bit first or the top bit? I can't ever remember with these. So do I want to do that like that, and then... I'll sit down anyway while I do this, but yeah, so obviously with this one, that's the plate carrier, and the plate carrier is designed that you can wear it over jackets and soft things like that. So that's definitely how that side goes on. Again, it's a bit restrictive in the movement here. Both the vest and this is bulletproof, because this one's the plate carrier. Yeah, you get a nice new one. Oh, if it's conscripted now in our army budget, you're not really going to get probably top tier equipment, are you, if you're a conscript? So yeah. Anyway, so that's the awkward thing, is getting both these layers on together. Because like I said, I bought specifically, and I was trying to do that back to front as well, which didn't fucking help, did it? Yeah, let me just stand up. I'll go to the chat properly in a minute. I just do want to see if I can get both bits of armor on for the stream, just for the fun of doing it. That's better, because obviously I'm right-handed. It's easier to stretch around that way. So, let's see. Can I stretch that round there? I should be able to, because I don't think these vests are particularly like sort of sized ones. I've got like the quick release little bit there, but this is again always a little bit awkward to do because you have to line up little tabs. There we go. Right, so that's the hard bit done. Now pull over this bit. And I can use the other little quick release thing. Again, I'm going to need to practice getting this on and off, because like I said, these sort of ones are different than the old Velcro ones. No, you definitely wouldn't survive an autocannon. These are pretty much just ballistic ones. Stretch vest strong, right, Rajiv? I'll go to the front mag placard. Well, this bit. But anyway, I'll I need to actually get that right way around as well. Like I said, this is the awkward bit, is the bloody because I'm not even sure which way I'm meant to be pushing that in, because I can't see it that height. I suppose I can just sat down now, can't I? 308, yes. There's a level 4 plate in the front of that bit. I'm getting another level 4 plate for this one, just because I wanted to actually have proper plates, because the ECBA has got level 4 plates, but they're tiny, whereas obviously the idea is that not that heavy. Whatever the weight of the plates is, a couple of kilos front and back, because it's just a plate carrier, this front one. It's not actually like I said, the main awkward bit is trying to do this. I did right. So which one are you on about, P3 Paz? The police vest underneath was £50 second hand, because like I said before, with the UK armor, if you're buying the soft body armor, they're generally a few hundred if you're buying them new. But if you buy the ones where the police have to get rid of them after a few years because of, you know, like shelf lives, like with surplus gas mask sort of thing, those are generally, probably help if I looked which way I'm meant to be pulling the thing first, wouldn't it? So this one is going to tighten up on the left. So it is that way I need to do it. I just can't quite get the bloody angle. Ah, there we go. Right. Yeah, so I wouldn't want to tighten this at all. So yeah, there we go. Look, I have got the so the soft body armor on underneath, and then the plate carrier on the front, and therefore we've got proper actual protection. So yeah, it would be like I said, it would be more handy, I think, to have that all in one vest. But I do like the idea that you can the plate carrier, like I said, P3 Paz did a video on it the other day, only about £30, because plate carriers aren't very expensive now, especially because the Chinese do all right, Super Simzek or whatever it is. But yeah, but obviously the plates for the plate carrier you have to buy separately, and that's where you're going to have to spend all your money, because one of the plates I've got in here in the front is a surplus armed police one, so that was about £50, I think, years ago I bought that. But the one I'm getting for I'm going to put it in the front and then move that one to the back. I've bought one of the like Militech equivalent plates, so I'm going to see how good that is. But people have you know, tested those, and they seem to stop a lot of things like 7.62 and whatever. So, but yeah, it was just because I have so much surplus, I actually wanted sort of more modern surplus body armor. But like I said, the thing with plate carriers is like I said, it's sort of one of those design things that kind of makes sense, like we were saying, for like armed police and stuff like that, but not so much actual military stuff with drones now. But like I said, so I can have soft armor that works with heavy armor, I thought I'd try combining this, and it does work. Yeah, like I said, they should work, all those sort of things like homemade ceramic plates and all that. But if you make them well enough, I guess, with all the proper layers, because it's not just the ceramic, is it, on the ceramic plates? It's like those normally, and then like some anti-spalling stuff like they do with steel plates and whatever else. So yeah, like I said, the police vest is pretty comfortable, but like I said, the only thing with this obviously is it's a bit of a stretch getting the two things over each other, but we've done it now. So yeah, and obviously that plate sits fairly high up. So yeah, you would have pretty good protection. Like I said, the weight isn't too bad because both of these have the you know, whatever you call it. Let's pull my t-shirt down where it's riding that up. Both of them have the sort of decent, you know, where they go both over the shoulders and around the waist. Both of these, the soft body armor and the plate carrier. So yeah, it's not too bad, but like I said, I can see why certain people don't, especially if you had to carry loads of other gear with it. You wouldn't like plate carriers and whatever. Again, people did mention some, but annoyingly, I have still never seen any of the like really good modern plate carriers. You know, like more, actually, sorry, not plate carriers, should differentiate, the proper body armors, you know, like what I'm trying to do by combining these two together, like the soft Kevlar vests with the plate you know, bits in the front and back. I've never sadly seen complete sets for those for not stupid money. Like I said, because if you buy the British Army ones, you can buy the liners for them really cheap for like 30 quid, like with the Mark III and the Mark IV Osprey sort of vests. But the problem is you then can't get the you know, a complete deal is normally stupidly expensive, where somebody has, you know, like a bit like the ECBA kits where people have all the bits together. But you know, the problem is, like I was saying, is getting the otherwise you also have the problem of trying to get the right size Kevlar panels for the well, because obviously it depends what type of 5.56 it is, because if you I wish I could get a Challenger Mark II. If you've not seen with some of the ballistic tests people do, some of the vests, like, you know, some of the plates that are NIJ 3 rated or whatever it is, that stop some of the 5.56, other versions of 5.56, depending on the tip, will go through but fail on a number 4, you know, like level 4 vest. So it makes sense now that level 4 is getting cheaper just to go to level 4 for me. You know, you'd rather want something that's too good than, you know, something penetrates it and then you're fucked, aren't you? So that's the reality of it, that I thought, because level 4 you can get, you know, for almost the same money now as level 3, it's just bulkier and heavier. Yeah, 9mm on its own, but like, yeah, the problem is, again, the reason Paskets and all those armors were good is because they were against shrapnel, but the problem is, obviously, like I said, plate carriers are designed to stop heavier shrapnel, ballistic stuff, aren't they? Right, let's go to some of the comments I missed. So there's a comment from Heavy Pockets that doesn't make any sense, and he's on about fungus. I don't know why you'd have talk about fungus with guns, but okay. So weirdly about the Challenger though, I did have a nightmare recently where, because I think I have so much fucking surplus behind me by the look of it, you know, as you can see, I had a bit of a weird nightmare with like a thing where I was showing somebody this room, and there was like, obviously this room would actually be too small for it, but in the nightmare there were like armored vehicles piled up on the like mountains of you know, stuff. Yeah, I've got a level 4 plate in the front of this Virginia Reenactor, like I was saying in the video I did the other day. So level 4 is basically like most rifle calibers, isn't it? But obviously not 50 BMG, not specific rounds. I think a 7.62 with the really good armor piercing tips on them. But again, most versions of 5.56, 5.45, whatever. But like I said, I don't really need it because I'm worried about anything kicking off, you know, anytime soon. It's just they're the sort of thing where I've got so much other military surplus, I did want to actually get a plate carrier. Yeah, again, I agree. It would be cool to have IFEs laying around, but yeah, in this nightmare, I was I literally had like IFEs parked in rooms of the house, stopping me getting around the house. Like, where I somehow managed to afford IFEs in this nightmare. Yeah, so I had like several tanks, I think several like M113s and like Warriors and whatever else. And yeah, they were just randomly in fucking rooms of the house in this nightmare, just blocking access to stuff. But yeah, I've also, just for the novelty of it, bought some other Velcro bits to go on here. Just because now there's a Velcro bit on the front of a plate carrier. Obviously, at the moment, it's just got like the Artex little branded one on there. But I've got coming a few like stalker style patches or whatever just to put on there for the fun of it. When you say new wave of legal blank guns, you mean new ones on the market? I think at the moment most companies probably aren't even going to try and actually make, you know, new things for the UK market. I assume just because of the fact that they don't want to deal with all the legal bollocks of the government over here changing the new brands. Yeah, I sadly reckon not, because I reckon that they're going to do the thing of a lot of companies probably think, what's the point of actually spending money making it UK legal if the government's just going to throw a shit fit and decide overnight some of it isn't legal, if that makes sense. So yeah, I reckon sadly yeah, most of the stuff isn't going to you know, I don't reckon we'll get much new in the market. I could be completely wrong, but I think if I was a company doing design choices, I would not bother making UK legal models if you know that the UK government might just decide any minute, yeah, I've got some black powder guns. You don't need a license of any sort for those. Again, if you were to shoot them, you'd have to be on land that, you know, was legal to shoot on, so you couldn't just do it in your back garden and whatever else. And I think the black powder, like, you need a license, because of course you do over here, to own a certain amount of black powder. But in theory, I think without a license, you can actually own enough to load a few musket rounds off. But again, it's like one of those things that, yeah, black powder is obsolete. They call them obsolete, and then like obsolete and antique caliber guns or whatever. So yeah, black powder is quite similar to a lot of the US laws, where even if you've got felony convictions, whatever, criminal records, you can still buy them. Again, with a lot of the problem is, though, a lot of gun shops or whatever won't necessarily, even though you can legally buy it without any sort of gun license, they might not want to sell it you unless you have a certain license, because they want to cover their own asses. So they do the thing where, you know, even though you're fully entitled to be able to buy it, they don't want the risk of selling it to somebody that isn't already a gun owner, kind of thing. Right, so Heavy Pockets is just one of those weirdos that's going to say weird shit on the messages, so I'll get rid of him. Laura says, hello, Joe. Is there a gas mask? There's a gas mask behind me there. I could put one on with this shit as well. Hang on. What one shall I bother with? Can we do the Swedish Forshida, because it's a nice mask? And yes, I know I've got the modern GP5 canister on it, but that's the it's the modern one, as you can see with the labelling. It's not the really old one, so it is technically not super hazardous. It's got a paper heater in there, not an asbestos one. Right, Rich? Just because why not for a stream? Just because people find it more interesting. But like I said, it was a bit of a pain in the arse getting both of the jackets on together. Right, because that helmet's behind me as well. Might as well chuck that helmet on. Hopefully this helmet works as a force feeder, because I like this mask a lot. So Soviet civilian masks, GP5M, you know, which is also the PMG2. So again, we've got another person being a dickhead on there, so we'll get rid of them. But yeah, so like I said, annoyingly, like I said, I need to empty the aircon's water thing, because I just noticed that my Kevlar don't have a Darth Vader gas mask. I have the helmet that looks a bit like the Darth Vader helmet, the not the Iraqi one, but the Swiss one. No, I have no old spec ones, Suds, but I do have some that are of the spec now. I'd have to have them re-deactivated to sell them. So basically, I just have them here and don't do anything with them. Pride filter. No, that's just how they color code filters. If you don't know, each color on here, unlike some of the Pride stuff, actually has a purpose. Because like brown is organic vapor, grey is inorganic vapor, Yellow is acidic gas, green is ammonia-based gases, and white is the particulate. No, again, like I said, if I wanted to do a Darth Vader fucking cosplay, I'd get the more appropriate helmet out. But yeah, I was just, like I said, just why not? Let's wear all this on the stream. I did a video on one, Cody, not too long ago. Again, with PAPRs, it depends on how good they are and what you need them for. Because the problem with some PAPRs is they don't really move enough air if you're doing stuff. Oh, that's the C420 cake skull. No, I don't have one of those. They're actually American, but just Britain buys them on license. When I was a little kid, Ruben, I had one of those plastic light-up lightsabers, but otherwise, no, I don't have much Star Wars shit. Because other than the original trilogy, I don't really care about Star Wars. I heard Andor's good, but I still not got around to watching it. Rogue One was the only one I liked out of any of the Disney ones, and I gave up even watching a load of the Disney shit after a while. So yeah, I'm not really into Star Wars, Star Trek, anything like that. Happily watch them, really, if I had nothing better to do, but oh, that's cool. Ratatoska. Like I said, the Polish body armor I've got is like the one with all the fucking neck guards on and everything. But the problem with the Polish one is it's super heavy and bulky because it's, again, not designed to be very modular. So it's one of those ones that I can totally understand why Poland decided it wanted like slimmer line body armor. Because it's one of those ones that, you know, troops aren't going to wear properly because of the fact that yeah, that's the thing, Cody. In hot weather, especially, in hot weather, PAPRs are really nice because you've constantly got cold air blowing onto your face. Clean space PAPR units. No, I'll Google them now if you like, but no, I've not seen clean space PAPR. But I do know, obviously, it's quite hard actually looking down the type, even though I normally touch type. Right, so there's 3M coming up, but that's not the one we want. Clean space. Oh, again, autocorrectors. Yeah, with the body armor, you can't actually look down very well with the gas mask and the plate carrier. So this would probably be really bad if you had one of the masks with a bottom-down filter and a plate carrier. It would basically lock your head forwards. Clean space technology, is it these ones? That see-through one's quite cool looking, if that's the thing you're on about. That reminds me a bit of those weird fucking Dyson headphones and air purifying masks, but one that would actually work. But yeah, I suppose that's just more of a dust type one, isn't it, rather than a full-on gas type one, that sort of style thing. Oh, hang on, I've got a PM, so I'm just gonna quickly check the PM and then go back to the chat. Right, thank you, Andy. Because there's somebody I know watching the stream. They've just shown me a load of patches for the armor, saying which patch do you want. I've got quite a few Avon masks. I probably have the C50 handy. Hang on. Some of the ones I obviously have not handy, but I think my C50 probably isn't very far behind me because of the fact the C50 gets brought out on loads of streams. There we go. Again, this isn't. I've got the real C50 filter somewhere, the one that's kind of concave, but I don't have it handy. So, again, it's probably been put on a different mask when I did a video on a different mask. Just get that comfy. Again, you can, suppose, look down a bit better in this. That's why it's got that soft chin bit, I think. So you can do that against your plate carrier. And in theory, this mask does work better with helmets because it's got the there we go. It's got the not the chin strap. It's got like the top straps on this mask are designed to be quite low profile on purpose, and the rim of that doesn't actually interfere with the rim there. That's where it like slots down onto. Yeah, GP5s you can get basically anywhere. This gas mask Alan just said because they're just old Soviet surplus.
Yeah, on Amazon a while ago, you used to get GP5s that the fucking sellers, when the asbestos stuff came out, started saying, oh, these are actually just replica masks and whatever, and replica filters. They're not real ones. It's like, yeah, bull fucking shit, they're replica masks. But yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, I've got a couple of PAPR units, but the ones I've got don't move loads of air. They're just kind of all right. FM12s, if you can get them, that are fairly new, are good. A C50 like this, if you can get one that's relatively new, is good. Again, there are lots of surplus masks that, as long as they're in good condition, are good. The problem is you almost need to inspect them beforehand to make sure that they're definitely in good condition. Is that the valve you can see moving just about under there? Or is that something else? Oh, I think that's actually just a bit of reflection, isn't it? You can see there. I was wondering then if there was a bit of the valve leaking. And that's all right. Yeah, the FM12 is very good. So yeah, there you go. Other than wearing the proper filter with this, so it's less bulky, this might be my own like shit hits the fan gear. But like I said, for most use, I'd actually rather just have the ECBA vest on, just because it's a lot more light and compact. But so you've got a PVF. Potato starch. I have never heard of people doing that, so I have no clue. I don't know if it would damage the rubber, and I don't know if it would make the seal work or not. I know Vaseline was something what people used to do if they had beards and that were gas masks. CB Media, if you don't have the caps for them, put duct tape over them, because obviously duct tape is designed to work with air ducts, hence the, like, name of it. All right, use it instead of baby powder. I get you now. But what do you mean, Leeds Armory? I keep meaning to go to Leeds Armory. Obviously, when I'm next in the area, then I plan on doing it. But yeah, the thing is, obviously, I'm right on the other side of the country to Leeds, really. But one of my mates lives in Leeds, so at some point I am meant to go and visit him when he's actually free and we can arrange it. And then, yeah, we'll definitely do Leeds Armory when I'm up there. But yeah, I've not actually wondering which. Oh, I think that's the mag thing that's come loose. Yeah, that's the mag thing that's come loose. Why is it? Oh, I see. They hadn't actually put it through properly when they sold it, or like did it from the factory. Oh, I'll take that off when I'm not on the stream. Yeah, Weapon Collector's done good videos on like having stab-proof type stuff in a rucksack, so you could easily grab a rucksack and use it as body armor. Like I said, this would be like my totally everything has gone so badly, the country's completely fucked kind of stuff. I wouldn't want to be wearing all this gear. But like I said, this police vest is quite comfortable. I've got on underneath the plate carrier. The M17A1 is the rarer one, isn't it? Because it's the one with the resuscitation tube on it that was actually a really, really bad idea. But it's quite interesting from like a historical perspective. Anyway, I'll take some of this gear off now, just so you can hear me a bit better. And it's a bit more comfortable because it's not horribly warm in here today, but it isn't like a nice, pleasant temperature. But yeah, so like I said, this plate carrier is, like I said, all right, but I'll just take the other bit off. So it's the pull down one, or is it the pull up? Yeah. So it's actually quite easy to get this plate carrier off. It's just the problem with this plate carrier. Like I said, I do need to take the labels off of it because this and the police one still had the labels on. But yeah, like I was saying, the issue is obviously that trying to stretch it on over this, it does work, but it is a bit of a hassle. I don't know about Temu, but there are all right ones on AliExpress as long as you get the right models of one. That's the Virtus helmet, the current British Army helmet. It's basically a licensed-made version of the US, whatever the current US Army helmet is. I can never remember if that's the ACH or the ECH. But the ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene one.
So the one that's made from cutting board material. Because modern armor, they found UHW, you know, the fucking acronym for it. The polyethylene is actually really good for ballistic protection. The only problem is it has a lot of backface deformation, but in terms of like physically stopping bullets, it's better than Kevlar and ceramics and steel, basically. Well, steel, not so much, but the problem is the steel is obviously steel can cause spalling and shatters. And obviously it weighs a lot, steel, where ultra high molecular weight polyethylene is actually pretty lightweight because it's essentially just a really dense plastic. Yeah, I like Helldivers 2. Never played the first one. Haven't played it in a while, actually, properly. If it's a GP5 in the earlier one, it's probably not a GP5. It's probably the Shum 41. The Shum 41 is the Soviet military mask that is almost the same as a GP5. The easy way of telling them apart is the GP5 is like a smaller kind of screw thread. The Shum 41 has a longer screw thread to take the full tight top bit of a hose. But otherwise, they're pretty much the same. But the GP5 is essentially a cheaper Shum 41 that was mass-produced for civilians. Yeah, the police update, I've got that, but the problem is because there was so many medals to progress it, I've not really progressed it past the first page. Because the only thing, like the AK thing on the first page is pretty good. And with that as well, there's also the, like the rover isn't there with like an arc thrower or whatever. Like the guard dog with an arc thrower. So I think that would be pretty fun to play with. But like I said, the problem is that obviously, yeah, as I was saying, sort of, I haven't had the time at the moment to play loads of that, and I've just been playing other games. Yeah, that's just what happens when UV is exposed to a Virginia reenactor. Like my MM1 there is going quite brown in places because, yeah, ultraviolet just basically, you know, just got the enthusiast medically unfit to serve even if I wanted to, which was a big conversation we were having on yesterday's stream, funnily enough, because we were on about when, yeah, I know arc throwers have friendly fire. But yeah, I was going to say when we were on about if everything goes really, really bad with Western countries wanting to pull people into, you know, conscription or whatever, they probably won't care all of a sudden about medical conditions at the moment that make you unfit to serve. But yeah, because like I said, a lot of the people that come on the channel have done like different stints in different armed forces and that, and it's really interesting to chat to. But no, I've never served and I don't pretend to have done. You know, it's just something I like a lot of the military history stuff, and surplus because often it's quite cheap, is quite interesting to pick up. But yeah, like I said, this police vest, I will look up the brand of this one for everybody just a second. I'll put my plate carrier's hooks back together, which hopefully is a bit easier to do when I am not wearing it. Again, it's still not super easy, but it's one of those ones, yeah, where you have to just kind of line it up, and then it's kind of like a key thing where, there we go. Yeah, you have to pull it an angle to. So like I said, the plate carrier is just a cheap Chinese Artex one, but it's decently made. And like I said, with a plate carrier, it's the armor you put in it, not the actual plate carrier, except for the point of the, you know, just the plate carrier not falling apart. But like I said, this Artex one is pretty good. It's just, like I said, the only complaint I've got is that the level 4 plate I've got in the front of this is a bit of a tight fit. If I get the level 4 plate out a second, actually, I don't think it will fit. I just do want to see if it will fit in the front of this police one. Because like I said, this does have the upgrade panel section on this police one, but I think that's the stab. Like the extra, like, you know, the needle and like the ice pick protection kind of thing. And again, this has really good Velcro on this. It's quite hard to get open. Especially because this stuff can really cut your fingers up, where I have fingers that cut easily. So, yeah. But yeah, even though this is a cheapish Chinese thing, there's no risk at all of, you know, your plates falling out and breaking with this. They are like, you know, a double Velcro layer where you have to first get this open. There we go. Part of it done. Yeah, there we go. So that's Velcro level 1 open, and now there's like a bit still around the plate there. So then to get that bit of Velcro open, like the hook and loop, whatever they call it, where... Right, so yeah, that was the plate I had in the front. So let's just check that plate carrier out the way now. Stuck to my police vest now. That, open like that. Right, so let's get the plate carrier out the way for a minute. So yeah, like I said, this was Mega Armor Systems upgrade hard armor insert. That was what I just shoved in there. Like I said, the old April 2002. So this is rated against 556 SS-109 at 930 meters a second, 762 ball at 830 meters a second, and 30-06 ball at 860 meters a second. This side towards body and this way up. But yeah, that was the plate I actually had in there. But yeah, I was saying, I don't think it will fit in this one, but what's at live? Sorry, I've probably missed something. No Windows. I don't want to fucking install an update right now. Another time. Sorry, what you're saying about oh, you've got late 87. I've been over it. What do you mean you're verified? I don't really get it. Is that a new YouTube thing? I don't get how it all works. Like I said, my channel is from ages ago where lots of the systems work differently. So I reckon this pocket is too small for that plate. Let's just have a look. So this way up. But yeah, I'm pretty certain this is going to be too small. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I think that, like I said, this panel here, I think is just for the really small kind of, a bit bigger than the ECBA plates, but obviously smaller than this thing. But it's still kind of a nice thing that there's soft body armor with like a little plate thing in there. Because I'm going to put, like I said, when it arrives, a level 4 plate in the back of this one. I'm kind of interested in if that smaller, like, lightweight steel plate I've got in the back of this one would actually fit in here. But again, I think it's for like a specific police issued size plate, that one anyway. Well, officially they expire. It's like all these things, they officially expire. But like I said, with all these things, the what's good as a person if you're buying them cheap second hand in a sense is the fact that obviously a lot of that expiry stuff is like also companies can keep making new ones and selling them. It's not like food expiring or whatever like that. A lot of them is they last, like with gas masks, they last way, way longer. So we go, there's my much cheaper steel plate that I'll not have in there. But yeah, can I get this to fit in here? Or is this, again, still going to be too big a plate? That should help, wouldn't it, if I undid that bit there? Then I could get the zip all the way to the bottom. I think that might be a bit tight, but otherwise it's almost, as I can push it in and then turn it around. But can I physically measure that against there? So yeah, it's almost the size you'd think would fit in there, but I think the problem is... Oh, hang on. Is that going to... Oh, I think that strike face bit might... Yeah, look, there we go. That's cool. I'm sure. Let me just try that with the other plate now. That so again, this one is a bit smaller, but yeah, this will actually fit at least one of these quite thin plates in this police vest, which is nice. Because again, I actually like the idea of having one of these soft armors. You could just have a front plate on. Because like I said, for the most part, most people wouldn't care about the back plate, especially if they're not in the military. But yeah, so let's try it again. I think this one's probably going to be too bulky, but. Yeah, sadly, this is just a bit too bulky, just like how the plate carrier didn't like it. Oh, is it? Hang on. I think that is just about going in. Again, I don't want it to get stuck in there or damage the zip. But, like I said, I think these aren't officially for these sort of panels, these sort of vests. I think the reason they have that upgrade kind of panel bit is for... Oh, I think we might have done it. Yeah, look at that. It's actually gone in. Oh, that is really cool. Okay. So, let's now redo that up. Yeah, so that's got that hard plate in there. And then... Right, yeah, cool. So, level 4 plate in the front of this, no plate in the back, but I don't think the rear bit had a panel for, you know, one of those extra zip panels. I think that was just purely on the front one they've done that, because some of the police units have the upgraded panels to put in them, so, you know, they've got more protection at the front. But yeah, that is actually pretty cool. Because, like I said, I wish more armors did that. Because, like I said, this is the kind of armor I like. It's more the soft wraparound armor. It's like I was saying to people in the other video. I wish more armors would just have a bit where you could fit a plate of basically any size in the front of them using a zip pocket. A couple of socials, Devonshire. Anyway, I've probably missed a few of the things off. But Twitter is basically the only one I really use. So if you see accounts on other things, they're probably impersonating me. Because the problem with a lot of them is if you try and manage socials on other things, then you're obviously spending less time looking at YouTube stuff. And obviously, with a lot of them, you then have to start dealing with loads of comments on them, and then people, you know, like being a dickhead on the other platforms. I just couldn't deal with, you know, having loads of things and keep remembering to check them. So I basically have YouTube. Like I said, I did have a Facebook page, but I don't bother with that anymore. And like I said, I've got a Twitter or X, which I think is linked in the description of all my videos, or at least my newer ones. That's interesting, Cody. There are like the AR-500 steel range, you know, like targets that are designed that, you know, so like rounds don't penetrate them, like, you know, for the like the shooting of rifle ranges. Those steel plates, I've always wondered if you were just putting those in the front of a plate carrier, if they do any good. Like, so I know obviously they're not rated as personal protection plates, but if they physically stop the round, as long as you didn't get horrible spalling, they probably work. What do you mean? Because I bought some glasses, wait, RQ, I don't get that. Shooting ranges, I haven't been shooting on a shooting range in absolutely ages because there's none near me. At least none that are actually the interesting ones. Because ages ago near me, and it closed down and died, I think, sadly, during COVID. There would have been a really good historical shooting club that, you know, did muskets, Lee Enfield and all that. But I think, sadly, they died out during COVID. I don't actually have any Russian body armor at all. Mostly because I never really saw a lot of it on eBay. But the other issue with stuff like that is with the Atlin helmets and all that sort of stuff, you get so much forgery of the Soviet stuff now. Yeah, I've never bothered with ballistic glasses or any of that sort of stuff. Again, one of the people I work with weirdly has ballistic glasses, I think. Not they necessarily bought them as ballistic glasses, but, you know, the ones that look like lab kind of wraparound glasses. So is that Iraq Veteran 888? I know the channel. I haven't seen that one, but that would be interesting. I did watch, I can't remember what channel it was. Some of you will definitely know. But the guy who did recently black powder in a load of modern guns, and the Glock or whatever it was, a 9mm wouldn't cycle at all. And he kept getting squibs, you know, where the bullets didn't even have the velocity to leave the barrel. They kept getting stuck in the barrel. The 1911 actually fired a couple of times before jamming up. So with black powder, the 1911 actually worked, which was interesting. So 45 ACP with black powder would actually cycle, you know, until the gun just gunged up, because black powder is really filthy. And then the AR-15 and AK cycled a bit when he loaded it with black powder, which was interesting. But again, the problem was after a few shots, you'd keep getting just, you know, jams because of just the gun fouling up horribly with each of them. So you have to keep, you know, just slamming the, you know, charging handle back. Kentucky Ballistics, that sounds about right, Devonshire Military. But again, there's a lot of the gun channels I actually watch when they pop up in my feed, if YouTube actually shares me videos I like. I don't really watch all their content, but now and again, those sort of channels do videos I find quite interesting. Because again, there's lots of channels that do like high-speed camera stuff, and for most of the time, I'm not very interested in those. But the you know, some of those channels though will do videos with firearms-related stuff in like ultra slow motion, and then I find those interesting, so I watch those sort of thing, if that makes sense. Yeah, well, again, the 9mm didn't cycle though, but I think that's just because 9mm was designed to be quite a zippy round. Like, again, I imagine if you put Tokarev rounds of black powder, they wouldn't work as well. But again, I think it's just because the 45 ACP case, because again, 45 ACP is just automatic Colt pistol, isn't it? As opposed to like 45 long Colt or whatever you want to call the literally old black powder revolver round. Yeah, but the reason, oh hi uncle, a lot of people do the sponsorship stuff is just because YouTube basically won't give you anything now for doing military related content. Yeah, it is already subsonic, and that's why if you suppress it, it's really quiet. Because have you seen the interesting British World War II, oh, what's it called? The, I'm trying to remember the name of it now, where they got a Lee Enfield and they rechambered it in 45 and it took 1911 mags, Delisle carbine, something like that. And that was like, that's the one, yeah, where it was designed for like sniping sentries or whatever. So it was like a special forces kind of wet work gun. Obviously, eventually they had the well rod for that sort of thing, but that's quite cool, the Delisle carbine or Delisle carbine or whatever. And as well as Delisle carbine, I think one of the other uses of it was just in case they needed to really quickly like rechamber Lee Enfields for another round because of an imminent German invasion. But yeah, like I said, the reason I've now and again I've been yeah, exactly same concept. You're right, Bub. But yeah, the reason again, like I haven't done many sponsorships on this channel is just because so many of them end up being really dodgy that I don't want anything to do with like the companies, you know, even if they're going to pay me. I don't really want anything to do with a company that's probably going to fuck people over, you know. If I was going to have a sponsorship thing and pay for things, I'd want to actually do it on stuff I knew was a legit product. Whereas the problem with a lot of sponsorships is, I don't know if people know this with a lot of the YouTube ones, is because there are videos that document loads of them, is like Honey's been exposed now. I think BetterHelp's been exposed. Loads of the ones that were advertised have basically completely had really shit customer services, not done the thing advertised. Yeah, they're getting more strict. Again, the problem is though, YouTube doesn't really have any proper competing platforms. So that's why, again, even if YouTube gets really shit, people keep using it. Because again, I know a load of people recently were really bitching about YouTube having, you know, like adverts or whatever on the things to do with that. But the thing is with YouTube, like the adverts being unskippable or whatever. Yeah, like I know it annoys people, but again, that's literally the only way creators are paid for any of their content. Like the ad revenue I get now on YouTube is like a fifth or a sixth of what it used to be when it was good. Like, you know, it used to be when the cost of living was lower and the YouTube ad revenue was higher, I could actually have this as my primary source of income. Those days are long gone, you know, where like now YouTube is still a thing I like doing as a hobby and it's nice to get some money back from it. But, you know, I think unless you're a really big channel now and you do really advertiser friendly content, you are not going to, you know, ever make enough on YouTube anymore to, if that makes sense. Yeah, my play button, do I know where that is behind me? Because again, I showed the play button not too long ago when oh, there it is, dug it out. I don't know if it's got smaller since I was issued mine, because bear in mind, I got my play button, was it around the time of COVID? Again, I need to get a wet wipe and clean that. Maybe some polish. The back isn't too bad with the sort of felt stuff on it, but yeah. But yeah, see, it's shiny, but yeah. I don't go too much into that. Let's just say I do work with some chemicals and stuff like that, beaten by cops. But just because of the fact that, like, because I've had people try and dox me and all that shit before, it's like it's not worth going into too much detail with that sort of stuff. Because really horribly, did you guys see? I think it was yesterday or the day before. Have you ever watched Save a Fox channel? Like the woman that did the like rescue center for foxes. She I'll have to be careful of the words I use now, but she sadly, you know, ended her own life because people fucking bullying her non-stop and like, you know, harassing her in real life. And so sadly, that's the thing with anything like YouTube and whatever. It doesn't matter what you do, even like saying somebody doing an animal shelter type fucking shit, you will get literally subhuman cunts start harassing you because of the fact that you do something and they hate the fact, you know, what was that? A different video platform, CB Media. But yeah, so oh yeah, another nice thing with this police vest is it has got the Kevlar over the shoulder bits, so somebody can't knife you like that. Let me show you what brand this is, because this Because like I said, I've been doxxed before and had the police like essentially trying to swap me because a guy that sold me a gas mask at some point had a vendetta against me. But yeah, let me get this off again a second. And let's look at whatever the brand was for this. Because like I said, this is actually one of my favourite police vests so far out of any of the ones I've looked at. Simply because, like I was saying, that this one, so this is made by, is it Cunene Protection? CuneneProtection.com. I don't know how well that's gonna... There you go. I might have a look at their website in a minute. I don't know, because I've not looked at any of the fucking gas mask community because of that reason, but I know it's generally like channels like mine and some of the other people, like, I know Duke Nougat's gas mask bunker now, but I know he got targeted by people as well. Like I said, it eventually gets to the point where you just don't even bother trying to talk to some people, because again, it's like with all of these, like saying Reddits and subreddits, well, because Ohio Uncle, it was selling it to me so he could get my address. That's why he did it, because it was basically like, there are obviously some people that will list stuff on places like eBay and whatever. As I said, I'm not on about any particular gas mask Reddit or whatever beating by cops. Like I'm saying, I just like saying, I know that for a fact that people, you know, do get the harassment ones done against them, whatever. And they're saying, I just normally stay out of them because then I'm not going to polarize anybody by giving an opinion on them or whatever. But like I said, with gas masks, there are people that are really way more into it than me, than like, you know, researching stuff and all that stuff. So good on them. But like I said, for me, I just like gas masks over military. Like I said, the reason I got into so many bloody gas masks in the first place was at one point in the UK surplus market, they were the cheapest bloody things you could get, you know, way cheaper than helmets and guns and like bayonets. That is a Strela 2. It's deactivated, sadly, but it's a Strela 2. Now, with YouTube policy, I probably shouldn't have that in the background, but at least with tube launchers, YouTube doesn't seem to know what they are or care. It doesn't have the trigger bit on it that when they, you can't on a live stream though. You can show them in regular videos, but on a live stream, you can get a strike and immediately taken down for showing guns and anything like that on a live stream. The reason I think it is they think one of two things are going to happen. They feel, I think they think either you're going to go on a rampage somewhere and you're going to live stream it, and they don't want to get legally screwed over by that, or they think, you know, you might do something to yourself using that firearm on stream or whatever. So that's why YouTube's really clamped down on it. And I can kind of understand it, but it is really also annoying that I can film a regular video and show something, but I can't do it in a, you know, not a live stream. Right, so anyway, with, oh, cool, I just noticed as well, look. With this back panel look on here, this also has a zip on it. I didn't think it did, but it does. So, you know what I'm going to do now? When those plates come, I might actually just put both the plates, like I did with that other one, in this vest. Because the fact, like I said, this vest, if I only have one vest to put on, and this actually does fit the plates, this is better for me than having that other vest. So yeah, right, I'm gonna really recommend, I will do a proper video on this in the next couple of days. But yeah, let me get their website up, Cunene Protection. But yeah, like I said, this is what I've wanted for ages, is a vest like this, where it's the soft Kevlar vest, but it does have a zip-up fat panel that, you know, can just fit the, you know, other stuff. Ah, cool. So yeah, they actually do, this company. This is 400 odd quid because it's one with all the armor and plates in. But they actually, this company then, do like all the press ones and like the various like responder ones. Obviously they do these in blue and everything. Ah, that's interesting to know. But yeah, so this, they based in the UK as well. There you go. I can shill for a UK defensive company then. Yeah, old YouTubers in was it 2005 YouTubers? Absolutely great. The PH Smoke Hood replica I have is a very low quality one. It was made more for like kids display things at schools. I don't have one of the really good ones. I wouldn't actually say it's bad, just for showing in a video to say this is what a PH smoke hood would look like if it was made from different, materials and that. Because it was at least one of those cheap replicas, not as in like cheaply made but cheaply priced. Whereas the problem with a lot of these sort of replica things is the fact that, they charge silly money for them. Even if they're not that good a replica. So at least I don't know what company it was that made the PH replica I have. Yeah, UK police surplus ends up in Finland as well, because Visa, who comes on here, has a load of UK police surplus shit. Again, I think with some of the countries, they probably like selling their surplus overseas and not to the people in their own country. That way it's harder for people to impersonate, like, UK cops or whatever if they're buying them in a foreign country, isn't it? No, Cody, I don't know. Or with a lot of those places, Burb, they literally sold out their stock and then can't get more because of the fact that the war being on means, the surplus is drying up, and the sort of two countries that were the biggest shippers of Soviet military service, the Russian Soviet Republic and the Ukrainian Soviet Republic, which were the two main blocks of the USSR. I know Kazakhstan was in it and what, where all the shit was, are the two countries now at war where it's hard to, buy stuff on export. Yes, Pilot Ted, like I said, it's one of the few things we're not completely cucked on. So, yes, like I said, I've got a level 4 plate in the front of this now, and my other level 4 plate, I'm going to put that in the back. Or I might have one in the front, might swap them around. But, yeah, so this is a surprisingly nice vest. I was very, very nicely surprised that this fucking vest is one that is an actual proper plate carrier and a soft armor vest. So, yeah, I'm really chuffed about that, actually. Because like I said, although I've bought that plate carrier and that plate carrier is kind of nice, I do definitely just prefer the idea of having, a one-piece sort of tactical vest. Because again, this has got all the molly on the front of this one. And where it's got the rubberized shoulders, that also means rifles don't slip. You could clip all your radios onto this, and with the molly bits. Oh, Velcro bit there, so I can still put some patches on it. Yeah, I reckon this is going to become my proper shit hit the fan thing. Don't even know anything about Stalker Fest, but yeah. Like I said, that other plate carrier isn't bad, but like I keep saying, is that with most of these plate carriers, you probably just want the ones that are, let's get that back panel open again, and then I can put that other, just that. This one is just literally for pistol rounds. I think it's quite a thin steel plate, but yeah, let's slide you in the back. That slides in very easily, look. So yeah, and then we'll zip that up. Yeah, now we've got a proper full-on level 4 in the front, whatever the protection is, not great in the back. It's probably the equivalent as level 2 or 3A soft filler in this, but yeah, so inadvertently, where I bought this thinking I can use this in combination with my plate carrier, it turns out this thing is going to become my actual thing. Like I said, the ECBA is the one I really like, but yeah, this is heavier now than the ECBA, but at least it's, ready to go. All that sort of stuff. So yeah, that is proper fucking cool. I am chuffed now. I am happy. Oh yeah, if people didn't know, chuffed is a UK term just meaning like happy, pleased. Doesn't mean anything dirty. Unless it's up the chuff, then it might be. And Beaten by Cop says, here in Germany, you get a lot of cheap NVAs, some Soviet stuff. Sorry, I just had a hiccup then. I got an NVA chemical suit for $10 in OK Edition. No, I was only some damage. Yeah, where it's tanned, like we were all about the gas mask, they tan. Yeah, these German chemical suits I quite like, and the Polish ones. Oh, that's nice to know, Kevin. I fucking love carry handles on guns. And like saying the AR one I like because it's both a carry handle and like where the sight attaches, isn't it? But I also really like that. Have you seen the really old like optics of the M16 where they had like the carry handle with the actual like magnification sight built into the middle of the carry handle? Those are really cool as well. Whatever the old Colt like Colt 3x sights were or whatever. Sorry, what was that, Cody? I saw you said about banning body armor in New York. What was it? You say something about a brand? But I know people have said in some countries body armor got banned because of the like the excuse that the governments use is that because it makes a criminal harder to be shot by the police during committing a crime, therefore nobody can have body armor. But again, if a criminal is committing a crime, they're not going to fucking care, are they? So it's a bit like the thing that it will punish innocent people who might use it for their own protection or security jobs or stuff like that. But if you're actually, you know, a criminal, you can go still full heat if you want to, because it's only a problem when you get caught. Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, Cody, you weren't talking to me. Again, I like the triangular carry handles like on that AR-15 I've got down there. Again, that's a DIAC one, sadly, and it's actually a 22 LR gun that is, you know, modelled on an AR-15 with the same gas system and everything. But yeah, the old M16A1 carry handle I like a lot. The triangular one. Yeah, but again, didn't they build their own body armor pilot's head, those guys? So essentially, even if a lot of it was banned, they'd have still... yeah, foul carry handle is good because it actually balances the gun really well. If you put your finger on the foul and put the carry handle there, it will actually kind of balance on your fingers quite well. What is this stream about, do you mean, or whatever people want to bring up? But I'm nearly done now because we've been on an hour. And I bought a game on Steam earlier that was only a £5, I think, and it's actually really fun. It's called Hole, as in you have a hole in you. As in H-O-L-E, Hotel Oscar Lima Echo. Hole, and it's kind of like an extraction shooter, but a really bare bone ones that's single player. Yeah, I've got a DIAC Steyr org, and I love the org, but again, sadly, I can't fucking get these out to show you on these streams like I used to be able to. But yes, the org, like you said, it's got the carry handle plus the sight, like the 1.5 times. Mine's got the 1.5, not the 4x magnification on it, and it's also got backup irons above the internal scope. I've never actually played Tarkov just because of the fact it's like £50 plus then like another £20 their official single player thing, isn't it? I know like it's a mod, isn't it, single player Tarkov? But again, I've not ever bought Tarkov. Yes, I have played lots of Stalker. I'm currently got Oblivion Lost installed for Shadow of Chernobyl, and I'm going through Lost Alpha very slowly as well because Lost Alpha Director's Cut fixed a lot of the issues I originally had with it. And also, I reinstalled Stalker 2 the other day because Stalker 2 now, they did another big A-Life update, so I want to see what that's like. I have finished Stalker 2, but for just pissing around in the game, obviously if the A-Life could improve, that would be good. Ah, cool. That's interesting, Kevin. I mean, for me, that wouldn't be necessary because I'm not in the US, but for people in the US, that would be really cool having one of those. Yeah, because like I said, the game I really like, but I really, really want them to do a single player mode for. But sadly, I think the game will just die out because of like all the legal issue the devs had is Marauders. Because Marauders is kind of like a stalkery setting in space. It's like very diesel punk, grimy, kind of like World War II and early Cold War tech in space, which I really like the aesthetic of. You know, with very industrial style spaceships and you know, that sort of stuff, rather than it being like nice looking stuff. It's very much like that alien sort of everything looks like grimy metal and very analog computers. You know, and all the guns are things like Sten, Sterling, Fowls, you know, like Sturmgewehrs, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, but sadly with Marauders, the because obviously it was PvP, it was PvPvE, where like there's bots in it and there's other players. But sadly, obviously, there hasn't been an update in nearly a year. There's been some sort of issue where the devs have been stuck in a legal battle, which means they can't really do any updates to the games anyway. So it's basically died off, sadly. But what would have been really good with Marauders is if they'd have actually done a PvE only mode, because obviously the problem with the PvP mode is you can still play it. There are still some people online on servers, but not very many. But most of the people still on it are just fucking cheaters or, you know, sweat. So, you know, you can't just play and have fun if you're a more casual person like me or my mates. And any of my mates that tried to get into it, you know, would be learning the map layouts and then get killed by a sweat or a hacker and just lose interest in it. So, yeah, a PvE mode in Marauders would have been really fun. Because, like I said, for just doing co-op with some mates, just going in, shooting a load of bots as you go looking for, like, loot crates would have been fine. But sadly, you know, like I said, it's just, I don't think the devs are ever going to do that now. Favorite game? Oh, I did like Marauders for gas mask content, saying that, because there was the PBF in it, there was the Shums in it. There was a mask that looked quite a lot like a Chinese mask, but I don't think it was directly based on any specific mask. So Marauders was cool with the gas masks in it. Yeah, I've played Atomfall. Like I said, never finished Atomfall, got near the end and then didn't decide. Again, it's one of those games that's on my list of games I need to actually finish. But yeah. So, yeah, there we go. So, Atomfall, I haven't looked at the DLC for it yet, but Atomfall I did like, I just never finished it, because I'm quite bad, a bit like when I start reading a book, that sometimes I'll get really into it for a bit, get halfway through to the end, like, 50 to 3/4 of the way through it, and then never finish it because something else comes up. No, never played Bogey Nights, don't think I've even heard of it. Metro Exodus I do have installed now, because when I was last playing Stalker, people were asking me, if you played Metro Exodus, have you played Metro Exodus? And I was like, fine, I'll finally get it fucking installed now. David Vickers says, stop the boats, which I don't think is really related to anything we're doing in the chat, but I'm sure if you ask Kia, he might say, oh, I'm working very hard to smash the gangs, or gash the schmangs, release the sausages. And now Kia's going to have me arrested for hate crimes against him and send me to the gulag. I actually like Zombie. I think Zombie's good. I like Zombie, if you're on about the one that was on the Wii and then on PC, the one in London. I like Zombie. But Fallout London is really good if you've not played Fallout London. That's fucking better than Fallout 4 and 76. So, yeah. Amazing art. What you're on about, Will? We were talking about games at the moment, not surplus stores, but I'm confused now. Never mind, whatever. What you're on about? Oh, no, not zombie flesh eaters. No, zombie. Is it zombie flesh eaters or is that another one? Yeah, zombie flesh eaters was the UK title. So yeah, you're on about Zombie 2, aren't you? Or Zombie? I know the Fulci one. That's great, but yeah, we weren't on about that. The music, that's great as well. I've got the with Zombie. I've got the like quite good Blu-ray that was released. What company was it that did the Blu-ray release? But it was one of those ones that, like years later, there was a really good Blu-ray of it, and I've got that Blu-ray. And it's got the guy that was in Survivors in it. Somebody like McCulloch or something. Is it Ian McCulloch or something like that? He's the main guy in it, but he was also the main guy in the old BBC Survivors. Super Hot. I like Super Hot. I haven't played it in a while, or the second Super Hot. But saying about Super Hot, that game I was on about earlier, Hold, reminds me a bit of Super Hot. It's kind of like Super Hot if it was an extraction shooter. Yeah, I've got a Quest 2 in the other room and an old Oculus somewhere. But the best game I've played on VR, because annoyingly I don't have enough room in this fucking house to do like blade and sorcery and wave my arms around properly. The best game was Half-Life 2 VR, not Half-Life 2 Alex, but Half-Life 2 VR, because Half-Life 2 VR actually, the gunplay in it feels good. Isn't Into the Radius like a VR Stalker style game, isn't it? You couldn't stop thinking about 28 Days Later. I'd be more worried about getting stabbed in London than people biting you with rabies. Thank you, Dubyap. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos. But yeah, anyway, I will be off soon because, like I said, has been over an hour. So yes, I will definitely do a video highly recommending this vest now, because when I bought this, I didn't realise this would actually let you fit full-size plates into it, and it does. So where I was going to use this with a plate carrier separately, I am now really happy that this vest actually is a plate carrier and a soft armor vest all in one, because that's what I've wanted for ages from a vest. So we stumbled across this one by accident when I was just like, let me find a police vest that I can probably wear as like a stab and low-level ballistic protection vest under a proper plate carrier. No, it turns out this takes nearly full-size proper plates. I don't think you'd be banned from wearing chainmail in London. Some of the police vests have chainmail in them, like as well as the ballistic layer. But I think the more modern ones use a different kind of stab protection now. But some of the really old vests I tested crossbows on had like chainmail in front of the Kevlar to act as a stab layer. The annoying thing is when you're out Steam groups, as much as that does kind of sound like a good fun idea, I normally have The issue is barely enough time sometimes to play with my proper fucking friends that, you know, I know in real life, that we struggle sometimes to stay in contact with each other now we've moved. So I kind of don't want to say I want to play games with other people. Not to be mean, but a lot of the time it's like I struggle to play games with friends that I'm trying to still keep in good contact with. But yeah, chainmail is still surprisingly good against getting enriched by people that want to bring machetes and knives into your, you know, culture. So, you know, like I said, I suppose that's the problem if you import people with medieval ideologies into first world countries now. Here we go, we're going to get very political now. If you import people with medieval ideologies, you need some medieval fucking armor, don't you? For when they come at you with their machetes and knives. And no, police now have like MP5s and Glocks and G36s. Oh, they could be white people with backwards, you know, things. Gas mask, Alan. Yeah, don't be too based or end up in prison. But yeah, you can get very backwards white people as well. You know, it's just some people are very, very nasty people with you know, things to chop you up and stab you with. I've got a couple. Oh no, I said I don't actually have any flintlocks. Mine are percussion cap ones, my old black powder guns. But yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a flintlock gun at some point. But again, it's buying obsolete caliber guns. They are a bit expensive, unfortunately. So matchlocks with a big burning old-fashioned match, and then you shoot the thing, and then yeah, the slow burn match, whatever they call them. Is it slow match? Was that the name they call it? They did have a name like that, didn't it? The matchlock, the slow sort of fuse on them. They normally conceal them down their tracksuit trousers, but considering how bad some areas of London and other cities are, some people just run around with them like that, you know, in full fucking view, and then hope they've, you know, hacked somebody to death before the police bother turning up. Yeah, we won't talk about stuff that could be built in Minecraft, especially because I know the police now and again check out my channel, because like I said, I have had the police round here before. So yeah, you know, we won't talk too much about that sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, oh, it's not right next to me now where it used to be, is it? Because I moved it. That's the US saber behind me. The French saber I have over there is the yeah, where did I put my fucking 1796 saber? Oh well, never mind. It's not handy right now, but I did have a 1796 to pull out. But like I said, I'll have to just do an M4 bayonet, as in the one for the M1 carbine, M2 carbine, M4 bayonet, not for an M4. That would be an M7 or an M9 bayonet. Yeah, the Colt Navy and all those revolvers are still UK legal. The only issue is that, like I was saying before, that a lot of places that sell the actual antique ones are fucking expensive with like Lamats and that. And if you were to buy a replica one, you could still do that under UK law, but lots of the places want you to have a gun license just to cover themselves. Cold Steel have a UK store, and some other stores sell Cold Steel stuff through their stores. But yeah, where the fuck is it? That's annoying me now. I don't know where my 1796 is, because it was quite handy in this room prior to the other week. But I've obviously put it somewhere, and now I don't know where I've popped it. Again, when they go on about banning certain knives, I still find it funny that FS knives are completely legal. Not that I'd want the police to then say, oh, that's a good idea, or the government, let's ban these. But, you know, a knife that is literally designed purely for puncturing people and dealing with people, because it was, you know, a World War II commando knife, that is totally legal, whereas some other ones are like, oh, that's got a green handle, that's a fucking zombie knife. Yeah, Sharp. I don't have this heavy 1796, because Sharp in that has, Sean Bean has the heavy cavalry saber. I've got the light cavalry saber, like the curved one, you know. But yeah, Sharp in that has the heavy one, and he just basically beats people up with a sword, doesn't he? Because he just brawls with a sword rather than having good like footwork in that. But yeah, I like Sharp. I need to rewatch all the Sharp at some point, and watch Sharp in India, because I've not watched that before. That's my style, sir. That was Henry Simerson, by the way, not Sharp. But, you know, the on first sighting of whatever Yeah, Kevin, like I said, I can technically get a black powder gun delivered to my door, because I've done it before, but like I said, sadly they're not the newly produced ones, they have to be the antique ones. But yeah, like I said, with the UK, our black powder laws are quite similar to the US. It's just, like I was saying, the problem with the UK one is a lot of sellers want the extra protection, if that makes sense. So while the seller could just sell it you, a lot of the sellers basically want you to have a shotgun license or a rifle license, so they themselves know they're selling it to somebody who's probably not going to go and do something stupid with it. You can buy ammo for them, but again, like I was saying before, that again is a lot of complication. And it's one of those things that I'll be careful what I say on here, because again, I know there's a lot of stuff where it's legal, but then if you do it in certain quantities and it's not legal. I have never been searched by the police. Well, when I went taking pictures of Sellafield, I got stopped by the police and they checked out who we were, and then they're like, "Oh, you're just an autistic person." They didn't say it like that, but you know, you're fine. You're not going to try and bomb us, are you? It's that kind of thing that, you know, with a lot of the time I've just found, at least with the UK police, as long as somebody's not calling them on you for saying mean things, where you get the Gestapo turn up probably. In general stuff I've had with the police, they've always been quite professional and good, you know, especially armed police, because armed police are like the actual higher rank police to become armed police, so they're generally more professional. But yeah, I just saying that's the funny thing here, that every time I've had an encounter, especially with armed police, they've been pretty damn chill. Yeah, because sadly, as we were saying, Kevin, the problem is that what will happen here is every time you get, you know, basically people do shitty stuff with stuff, you know, that have no interest in the stuff, that'll be when the government uses it as an excuse to ban more categories of stuff. And this is like what I keep saying to people in America. You do need to be really careful, even in America, with like the slippery slope of them banning things. Because what the UK did with a lot of stuff is a lot of stuff wasn't just banned overnight. It was where they started making bits of the law stricter and then another bit of the law stricter. And, you know, like stuff like that. So saying in America, I think even though you have the Second Amendment, I bet you they could go after it in certain ways like that, where they say, oh, we just need to ban a magazine of a certain size, you know, in all states. And then when they do that, they'll go on to something else, like, oh, pistol grips, you don't need those on a gun. And they'll just keep whittling away what you can have, because that's how a lot of these things are done, is because they know it's the boiling frog thing, isn't it? That basically they know that if they get too strict on people too quickly, there'll be a backlash. But if they very carefully say, oh, this is just to save kids in schools from, you know, those incels or whatever, they'll whittle away what you can own, what you can own, what you can own. Yeah, again, like I said, and that's how they'll do it. And that's why I always find it annoying when people start taking the piss out of, you know, me being in the UK. I'm like, yeah, but don't you think they're going to try that in your country? They haven't got there yet. But rather than like saying, ha, they did it to you, should be more like, how do I stop them doing it in the US or whatever? Yeah, and that's the thing, they erode your rights slowly. They'll say it's to stop terrorism or whatever else. They need to limit something. That's why they need to check what you're putting online. And then they move a bit further and a bit further and a bit further. Ah, nice, homemade Bowie. I don't have any good Bowie knives, really. I kind of want to get one of those Civil War Bowie swords. My mate's got a Civil War Bowie sword. It's quite nice. But yeah, I am just annoyed where the fuck I've put my 1796 saber. Because where the bloody hell is it? My 1796 saber. I showed that on the stream not too long ago. I ought to really be off quite soon, but again, it's just annoyed me that with that 1796 that I did have it, you know, like here. And I've obviously moved it, but I don't know where I've moved it to. Again, that saber there, if you can see a saber there, that's the US one. That one. I'll be careful. I don't want. There goes gas mask. I don't want to gas mask too close to it while I draw it for obvious reasons, just in case I cut something. But yeah, this one's that US one, and again, like somebody pointed out in the chat the other week, it's one that's actually for on horseback, not on foot, which is why this one's got kind of a weird heavy front weight to it. I know all sabers are a bit front heavy, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's still a nice sword. I really like the look of these. But the US cutlass from this period is really, really nice. It's just I find the sabers a bit, you know, not very. And again, because I'm not super tall, you know, I prefer cutlass length swords anyway, because you know, with my center of balance, they work better. Oh, is that the big beautiful Bill? Guess Muskellen. Big beautiful Bill. I don't really know anything about it other than the fact That was the big thing that Musk and Trump fell out over, wasn't it? Yeah, because like I said, in the UK pilot head, as far as I'm aware, if you're buying a shotgun, you can just buy a suppressed shotgun or whatever, or a suppressor for your shotgun with no issue over here, which is the weird thing that like nobody just seems to give a shit about suppressors here. Over here, we consider them being polite to other people, so you're not noise polluting them. Yeah, this particular one, I think, is their more ceremonial one they did of it with like the laser etching or whatever on it. So again, this is probably made in India, not the US. But what they called windlass steelcraft do actually do quite nice swords. I've heard a load of people shit talk them online, but I've only had a couple of windlass things I thought were a bit naff. Most of their things have actually been pretty damn good. Probably better than cold steel, in all honesty. Because there's a theory now that the cold steel 1796 saber is actually made by windlass, and then cold steel, repurpose it. But again, because windlass don't ship the cold steel, the 1796 to the UK, I can't get them side by side and check if they're actually exactly the same. Right, Chase6, sadly I should really be off now because I said I'd be going off 20 minutes ago. I just want to have a quick, I'm just going to go out of frame a minute. I just want to quickly see if I can see where I put my bloody 1796, because I'm sure it'd be in this room. I don't really have much use to take it into another room. Oh yeah, that's the French one. I like this one, but I need to actually sharpen this. Because this was one that, is made for reenactors, so it doesn't have the edge on it. It's got a point, even if you're reenacting, you could still lethally put this through somebody. But yeah, the saber briquette or whatever it is, the Napoleonic era one, even though it's, again, more of a cutlass size thing, which is why I like the size and weight of it, that this definitely needs an edge put on it. Because, like I said, I like swords that actually do stuff rather than... Yeah, let me show you my long ass bayonet before I go off, because I know where my long ass bayonets are. 1 second. Again, I'm just going to pick that gas mask up that fell over in a second. And if you don't know why I'm moving weirdly like that, it's because there's just so much fucking surplus in this room. That, it's difficult to walk about sometimes. Right. So the big bayonets, big beautiful bayonets. Yeah, I'm just weirded out now when my 1796 has gone. Because I'm sure I didn't move it into a different room. And being a 1796, it's generally long enough that you can always see it. It could be that it was stood up somewhere and it's fallen flat, so it's... Yeah, so anyway, bayonets. So this one isn't my biggest one. This is the Schmidt-Rubin bayonet. So the one that, I don't know if this would also fit on the K31 because that was the end of the Rubin family. Sadly, Caesar, if I put shelves on it, the wall will collapse because it's shitty drywall, which is why I can't really put much on it except for gas masks and things like that. In other parts of this room, there's actually chunks missing out the wall where I've put stuff on it that ended up being a bit too heavy. Because, yeah, unfortunately, the outer walls of this house are all good solid brick. The inner walls are that sort of shitty drywall stuff that, you could punch through, or if you got a hammer, you could just smash through the wall with a hammer. So, yeah, anyway, so that's the Schmidt-Rubens bayonet, which, again, is a bit similar to, like, I think the German-style bayonets, isn't it, the Swiss ones? So these are always nice. This is made by Elschner-Schwiege or something. Yeah. Freestanding shelves, though, but I've got stuff against the wall. So for freestanding shelves, I then have to pull that stuff out, and then, again, it's other issues, so... It's messy how it is, but I like it how it is, because it's a fucking mess, but I know where stuff is for the most part, other than my 1796 or something. But yeah, this is the really nice bayonet. You call that a knife? This is a knife. Yeah, so that's the bayonet I really like, the Lee Enfield 1907 pattern bayonet, the one that is literally a short sword. I think this is actually sharp on the side. It needs to be resharpened because it's gone rusty, but I think because these were like short swords that actually worked as a bayonet as well. They weren't, like standard only as a bayonet thing. But yeah, so this is all what's on the Lee Enfields. There's a great picture. I have to try and find it again. And it's on about like the Home Guard in World War II, and there's this fucking psychotic. I don't know. You'd have to look up the measurements for them. Pilot head. There might even be longer bayonets than this one, but I know this is just one of the famously long bayonets. But anyway, if it's a Netherlands filter, then yes, it will fit a Draeger because the Draeger's 40mm NATO, and the Netherlands also uses 40mm NATO. But yeah, so there's a picture anyway of this guy that's in the Home Guard, and he's going like this, and it says something like on the fucking caption that like, this is a World War I veteran or something, showing great delight in his bayonet or whatever. It's like, you know, this is some fucking World War I psycho that was just wishing that German paratroopers were landing so he could have fun with a knife again. But yeah, again, I would really like a film about Operation Sea Lion, or like a game about Operation Sea Lion, because again, obviously it didn't happen. But the sheer crazy fucking stuff Britain at the time was imagining they were going to do in terms of like guerrilla warfare, dropping anthrax, you know, like early versions of napalm, because they weren't technically napalm then, but, you know, like incendiary jelly type weapons, you know, all the gas weapons that were going to be used and all that stuff. It'd be fucking insane. It'd basically be like a mainland invasion of Japan, I imagine, because they were going to get a load of fanatical. And that was, again, why they were trying to mass produce so many Sten guns at that point, to basically give every member of the population a Sten gun for when they saw a German. Yeah, again, Kai MX5, like I said, 22LR kills more people. I think 9mm might have overtaken it now, but isn't that one of the rounds that kills the most people per year in America? Because in the fact that lots of people don't consider 22LR to be deadly, which is a really stupid mistake to make. So again, yeah, I know it's not technically as scary as like 7.62 NATO and whatever, but you still don't want to be hit by it, because the chance that it either hits an organ or then fucks about with your insides as it goes through you, or you like Sten. The Sten was made by well, I mean, yeah, the Sten design was basically just designed to be a really cheap, you know, yeah, probably people pilot thinking it's a toy they can mess about with, because again, we get people killed with air rifles in the UK for that exact reason every year, where they go, oh, you know, shoot me with it for a laugh kind of thing or whatever, you know. And yeah, that's not a good idea. The side magazine thing made sense because you could go more prone with it, but yeah, it obviously eventually the side magazine thing got abandoned. But again, the FG42 had side mags, the Sterling. Is MP 3008 the German last ditch Sten copy thing? Yeah, and the Owens has a top feeding mag, so technically it's probably more reliable. The Sten's worst part was its magazine, funnily enough. But yeah, then the Sterling that came after the Sten was really good, mostly because the Sterling actually had really good high quality magazines, so they fed well. But anyway, there you go. This is my knife. Right. Anyway, I need to tidy this shit up now, because again, as usual, the problem with doing a stream is when I get stuff down, then it gets in the way, because the problem with this room is you've got that old bed frame in the background where all the surplus sits on. Then you've got where the desk is and my chair, so it's kind of like this room's like a little corridor as you go through it. It's not actually you know, because of how the room's shaped and like the stuff, the furniture that's in the room. So the problem is every time I get stuff down and put it down by the side, it ends up just basically blocking the corridor. Most of the Stens had a stock. They didn't have folding stocks, but the Stens did have a stock. Even the Sten Mark II had like a metal stock. And was that fun, Kevin? The Sterling. But again, like I said, the Sterling, I think, is a pretty damn good design anyway. Again, I know the Sterling eventually went out of fashion because SMGs went out of fashion and stuff like the MP5 was just much higher quality. But I know like the Sterling was like basically the best of the old school style SMGs. The other one I really like is it the Swedish K, the M45? The Carl Gustav M45. That's another like one of those really nice guns of that era. But like I was saying, the problem is racks. Like we're saying, in one of the other rooms, all my stuff's on nice industrial racking. But the problem with this room is, like I said, that you need to massively reorder the room to put racking in this run, so it just doesn't work. It's just easier keeping it as it is. Anyway, I better go off now because I've been on an hour and a half. I want to have a cup of tea. I haven't had any dinner yet, so I'm fairly hungry. But But yeah, so yeah, that vest is really good. So I'll do a proper video on that vest. If I don't get time to do it tomorrow, I'll probably do a video on that Friday. But yeah, that vest has really surprised me in terms of the fact it actually takes the plates directly into the vest, because I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I reckon that might become my shit hits the fan vest now, because like I said, I was expecting to have to wear that underneath a plate carrier. It turns out that vest actually doubles up as a plate carrier, you know, armored vest. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. See you all. I might, even if I don't get time to do a video tomorrow, I think in the evening I will get time to do a stream. So I'll hopefully catch people around the same time tomorrow or a bit later for a stream. But don't forget to like the video on your way out, just because, like I said, it might help YouTube share it a bit more. Yeah, I've got plates already, and I've got some more plates on order. Yeah, you can order plates from foreign countries. You can buy plates brand new at a very expensive price domestically, or you can buy the old police and army plates as surplus if they bother surplusing them. So yeah, you can get plates basically completely legally here easily. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. See you all. I'll be on hopefully tomorrow.